Here we go, spawning up at the top right for Blazer. It is Krystianer.
And his opponent down in the bottom left, playing for Platinum, we have Rodzyn.
This is kind of neat. This is a match of 2 Polish Protoss players.
Yep. We've actually had a couple of countrymen taking on each other today as well, which is always kind of fun at the start of these events, right? Because you get a little bit of national pride coming into, right? Because that is ultimately the type of opponent you really want to beat, right? It's always nice to know that you are the best player from your country. And, well, if you want to beat anybody, other than maybe beating the #1, I think beating your fellow countrymen is probably one of the top priorities.
It's gotta feel pretty good because yeah, you've got like this very cool scenario where Europe has always had like 3 or 4 countries that have really stood out among the rest in terms of StarCraft 2 talent. And of course, I'm obviously there's people who are going to say Finland and Italy because they have Raynor and or Cyril and Raynor respectively. But in terms of depth, nothing has really come close to France, Germany, and Poland. Those 3 countries have been juggernauts, historically speaking. Sweden once.
What about the Netherlands? Hello.
The Netherlands has a lot of really good players. Actually, sorry, they've had a small number of really good players, I feel like. Because
that's going to be everybody in the chat right now, though, from Europe. They're like, but what about us?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
We've had really good players, too. What about Sweden?
I mean, honestly, the Netherlands probably is the most valid next one after the 4 I mentioned. And I would say...
I know exactly what you mean, though. It is fun to look at that. Like, there's... it's interesting how certain countries just seem to have more competitive players for, well, even different types of games, too, right? Like, how come Germany in particular has had so many good players over the years?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Obviously, like now we think of the 3-pronged trident of the German triumvirate of Hero Marine, Lambo, and Showtime. But there's also Battle Beyond the Rise, which is pretty cool. But then we go back in time and we look at like Hasuabs and Zaka and other players who I can't think of at the moment.
Goody still plays as well.
Goody does still play. He's
not quite at the level, I guess, right now as those other Germans you just brought up. But yeah, it is fun to think about it. Winning against your fellow countrymen, always a nice feeling. I think, not like I've ever won against you, Thermal, or Harstem, or Roddy, or Grubby, or any of those other guys. It's okay.
I think when I was... Well, actually, no, I don't think I've ever taken down one of the big Canadian players like Kane or Scarlet or Huck. I've been beaten by them, but
hey, there you go.
that's not really much of an achievement. Yeah, that's just a thing that happened to me. Like it's.
If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. No therapy on stream, but we are going to be seeing, as the game has actually developed quite a bit, we've got a 4 Adept opener into Double Oracle out of Krystianer, and Rodzyn is embracing the new Centurino.
Force field over here goes down using that Centurino. Oracle's in the meantime also going around. There's one probe on the high ground that's like, pick me, and it does get picked here in the end, but that is pretty much the entire mineral line gone.
Oh, that was a combo right there. 4 Adepts plus the Double Oracle. That was some very hefty damage. Now, obviously, the Adepts are not free. They're rather expensive, but killing as much as he did, that is so good for Krystianer.
100% worth it right here. Yeah. On top of that, Krystianer also slightly quicker when it comes to that Blink follow-up right now, which is going to make this game develop really nicely for him, right? He's going to be able to... well, ultimately build more Stalkers, I guess, and that is going to lead him into a better spot moving forward, as they are, of course, the pivotal unit in this matchup. Looks like the Oracles should be able to escape nice and easily, too. I mean, 4 Adepts going down for 13 probes. That's a good deal.
Yep. Yeah, I would say most people will take that trade. I I'm sure there's a few that won't, that will say, well, I like my adepts. Oh, even
it's
threading the
worse.
needle.
Yeah. That's actually a disaster, though.
Oh, and he doesn't even get the Oracle. Oh, that's mental damage right there. That's
yeah. He didn't even need to recall them there. He could have just floated them to the right side of the map. Yeah. I guess they deserved it. Okay, they got to be called heroes when they come home.
Yep. Just get them home quicker for their parade.
Yeah, the probes are cheering right now. You can't hear them, but it's a color.
Yeah, exactly. When someone cheers with the kala, it just kind of sounds like someone screaming into your head. It's very off-putting. Protoss parades result in so many migraines.
Yeah.
And they can't even take Advil or anything because they're plants, so they don't have mouths. It's just a disaster.
That's tough, man. All right, Blink is done right now, though, and it finished just in the nick of time there. Managed to save that one Stalker. Guardian Shield here, really nice, of course, reducing some of that damage. And we do have a defensive, what do you call it, shield battery there, too. But yeah, ultimately, it's just you start losing the numbers, right? And that is the issue whenever you lose economy early on in these matchups. Really, any StarCraft 2 matchup, when you lose a bunch of economy early, you just find yourself with less units to fight with a little bit later on. Now, of course, there are a lot of defensive tools in the game. Rodzyn actually going into a nice and quick Immortal, trying to get the charge going, trying to go into the Forge too. So if he survives for another couple minutes, he'll be fine, but it's going to be really difficult to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be borderline impossible. And Krystianer looking to pad his lead even a little bit more. Well, I like the way he shaded that. He kind of like turned slightly north just to get as close to the wall as possible and make it more likely that goes undetected. And it does. This is already going to be enough to pull the army away. Yeah.
Yep. I wonder if he could have even clicked the Nexus itself.
I was thinking that.
Not to really take any risks, but
honestly,
could have done a little bit more there.
Maybe he did get like 3 extra probes by going after the probes instead of the Nexus, and he's so far ahead. Why risk baiting yourself into trying to click down the Nexus when you're so far ahead like this? So even from a position of like total dominance in the game, Krystianer showing some really mature decision making and like taking the small guaranteed victories. And I think, well, how many gateways? Okay, yeah, we're going up to 8 gates. If Krystianer just makes a warp prism basically as his first unit off of the robotics facility, I think he just warps in like 1 or 2 rounds of charge lots and the game just ends.
Well, Rodzyn is still hanging in here, though, and that's obviously the scary thing, too, for Krystianer, right? You don't want to give him too much time, because there are a bunch of comeback mechanics in this particular matchup. There's no disruptors or anything like that on the production tab here for Rodzyn. Instead, he's just going to go into mass charge slot Archon himself. Does Krystianer have a Templar Archives yet?
No, so in that sense, Rodzyn does have the advantage of the actual Archons, which is really nice.
Yeah, and Zealots are going to be really quite powerful here against the army that Krystianer has, but he's just got such a big army. Look at that.
Yeah, this is so scary. Like, the Stalker count right now is 26 to 15, and this isn't even... We haven't even seen Krystianer start to really, like, ramp up the aggression just yet. He's actually going up to 11 gateways here, and double Forge, which I do love when Protoss players go for, like, this double Forge style. Krystianer was like, oh, I'm going to deny your 3rd base or your 4th base. Oh, it's not here. It must be on the top side. He's going to see that it's not there. He's going to be like, oh, okay.
Yep.
You're that far behind. Like,
yep. No, as long as you know... Ooh, Krystianer actually pauses the game for just a little bit, apparently having a little bit of a lag spike. Fair enough. But yeah, at this point, I mean, the supply count looks somewhat even. It's just that Krystianer is sitting at like a bank of 1,700 resources here, and as soon as he gets a warp in done with his 11 gateways that he's got, he's going to have a massive supply lead. It's scary pulling the trigger, right? So you kind of want to think to yourself, what exactly would Showtime be doing in this scenario? What would MaxSpecs be doing in this scenario? Well, they would be doing what Krystianer is doing here, not really taking any risks. No reason to really flip a coin, just, you know, try and play it safe and sound. And honestly, it's the age-old StarCraft adage, right? When you're ahead, try to get more ahead. That is one of the rules that really helped me out when I first started playing, because it's so tempting to just try and aim for, the win right away. But yeah, this is very well done here so far by Krystianer.
That it is, and we are going to be getting back into it here. It looks like things have settled down, and Krystianer, he is looking to do anything but settle down. He is looking to absolutely keep going. He actually warped in 10 Stalkers at home because he didn't want to have to use the Warp Prism for the warp in the army. He wanted to instead go in the main base, and that's a good find for Rodzyn right there. But now Krystianer, can he just move forward? Now he might be able to snipe the Nexus. No, he's still going to use the blink defensively.
He's a little scared. He's playing this very cautiously. I wonder if at some point it becomes a little bit too cautious. It's just that now that Warpin completes again, and we just see that massive lead, right? So we're talking 4 base economy versus a much bigger army with better upgrades too. Like if you think about StarCraft 2, a game with different pillars, basically Krystianer is ahead in every way possible here. Yeah. Even though it's not game over yet, and it's not like, it's just going to be an attack move to the victory. Yeah, Rodzyn still has a pretty scary force. This is certainly Krystianer's game to lose at this point.
Yes, and there is a lot of Zealots that are going to counterattack into the natural. Battery Overcharge will get popped. Krystianer. Oh, that Immortal managed to actually wiggle its way just close enough. But does that even matter? It's 2-1 versus 1-0. The Zealots are way overwhelming in the heads-up fight, and now they're going to go into the main base, and that will draw the army away. But Krystianer, once again, playing it safe.
Yeah, he fires up +3/+2 here as well,
my God.
actually, on the back of it.
There we go.
There's the blink forward that we expected a little while ago, and that is all of the expensive units from Rodzyn down the drain. There's an aggressive blink. It gets rid of that photon cannon and whatever else is over at the third base. There it is, Krystianer. Absolutely dominates in game number 1.
Yeah, he really did. He looked sharp, he looked strong, and granted, it all started with a really rough situation for Rodzyn, and Rodzyn did make some nice defensive moves. Sniping that Warp Prism, he was able to stay in that game a lot longer than I expected, to be honest. But when you lose 10 probes like that, and your opponent still has double Oracle, like he didn't kill either of them, it's going to be such a difficult situation to claw your way out of.
Yeah, initially the force field there was quite good, right? But it's just that the Oracles then got so much damage done. So the initial force field in the mineral line against that Adept push was solid. But then the Oracles just got free reign of the top section of that mineral line, and they just, pointed their lasers at whatever they wanted killed. Yeah, like 12 drones go down for, or 12 probes rather go down for like, 4 Adepts is what it was. It is just a fantastic trade right there, of course. For Krystianer, and ultimately that, solidified that game for him. He played it out very cleanly from there too, though. I like that he didn't really take any chances. Sometimes you get a little over-eager, especially when you're playing a tournament, an important tournament, and that too. So you're trying to just get the win over with as quickly as possible, but that was some very mature decision-making right there from Krystianer.
It really was, and as a result, he finds himself up 1-0 without really ever being at risk of, that game slipping out of his hands. Because, like you said, that can be a thing that can happen is, we're so used to players playing really strong StarCraft because, you and I especially, we commentate the highest level of play where mistakes are way less frequent. But when the pressure is dialed up in these high stakes matches, these highly important matches, the chance of making a mistake or the chance of just having a slip up it's definitely amplified.
Yeah. Now, it's easy to just lose to silly things, right? Like, for example, a supply block or suddenly getting a hit by a disruptor. Like, there's so many little things in any matchup that can just go horribly wrong. So that's obviously the reason why we see players getting very aggressive to try and close out the game. But usually if you're playing it more like the way Krystianer did it just now, you have confidence in your own ability to continue pushing forward, right? And that confidence, I guess, is what gives it that mature feeling to being a really good player, right? Like you're confident that you can actually work with an advantage and not throw it down the drain, which is something that can sometimes happen when you're not quite as confident in your own abilities.
Yeah, exactly. I would definitely say I have become quite adept at throwing leads down the drain. I'm not very good at
grasping
finding
defeat
leads.
from the jaws of victory.
Exactly.
We're
I'm
all
no,
very good at that,
I'm
I
no
guess.
up a tree in terms of throw potential, but you know, it's all right. And with that stinging jibe, we've got a game number 2 coming at you on Oceanborn, spawning down on the bottom right for Platinum Esports, the little brother of Platinum Heroes. It is Rodzyn.
And his opponent, all the way in the top left-hand corner. Looking very good in game number 1. It's Krystianer.
Yeah, he did look really, really sharp there. Like,
Yep.
It's so easy to misunderstand the position or, like you said, get a little antsy and be like, I need to win. When you really don't. Because obviously, like at this level, the players, it's pretty well defined that when you get a lead like that, if you keep applying pressure, you deny the 4th base, or even, you know, just keep forcing trades with the economic lead that Krystianer had built for himself, it's going to be just such an absolute mountain to climb yourself out of, a huge pit. But yeah, good job from Krystianer to not panic.
Right. Rodzyn decided to proxy his second pylon. This is something that Krystianer has picked up on this point, but doesn't look like there's going to be any real structure attached to that proxy just yet, at the very least. It's one of those things that makes it... that's an interesting thing to find in a tall grass right here. Looking for a Pokemon right now.
I was going to say Pokemon references coming, right? Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's one of those things in PvP where proxying a pylon does not necessarily mean cheese. It's just a little annoying, right? When you know that there's a pylon out there somewhere on the map and it's difficult for you to determine whether or not it's going to be something aggressive. Then again, you see this in about half of the Protoss games. So I don't think that Krystianer is going to be too surprised.
Yeah, it is so common these days. Like, it just happens so frequently. Like, especially in these prepared format tournaments where you have a best of 3. So you know you can plant the information, and even though most of the time these days I feel like it is a fake proxy, there's always a chance of a real proxy, you know, ruining your day. Like, Proxy Robo is still super strong. Proxy Twilight Council can be difficult to deal with. Obviously, we saw Jim earlier versus Firefly proxy the Dark Shrine and the Gateway and just got a free win, basically, versus Firefly, who had skipped detection.
No, there are still proxies that can definitely ruin your day. Stargate, I guess, a little bit less frequent these days, but I'm sure there's some, especially on the new maps, there must be some positions that are really quite sketchy to deal with. Either way, though, nothing of the kind in this particular game. It's just a hidden pylon in the top right-hand corner for Rodzyn. We will likely not see that being used. Just to, I guess, in the earlier stages of this match, sort of just confuse the opponent a little bit. As you have a War Prism going across.
Yeah, you have to respect it a little bit. Krystianer is going to go for just a couple of Adepts dropped out of this very quick Prism, and Rodzyn doesn't have any vision of the side of his base. Ooh. Okay, it's going to be 4 Adepts. That I was not expecting that. That could be a lot of damage.
Well, probes are just leaving to mine the natural here instead. Okay, good pull. Very good pull right there from Rodzyn. They're going to be shading towards the low ground, but the probes decide to turn back around. Go back to the spot where they once grew up.
Huh.
A lot of animals do that.
Yeah, it's migration
Probes apparently
season.
also do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They return back to the nexus that they spawned from.
They make their
Honestly,
little...
this is really well done, though, by Rodzyn here. Cleaning it up. But 6 probes is still significant.
But it's
a lot of lost
just
mining time, too.
Yes. Oh, and 1 Adept did shade out. It's going to be able to grab even more. Oh, that's so annoying when it feels like you have a good handle on it. Then it gets 2 more probes. Ugh. That's just not a good feeling.
Ultimately, it's 8 probes for 4 Adepts. Oh, don't miss Rally the Immortal.
That's an oopsie we don't want to... We don't want, for sure. Rodzyn's only real advantage, it feels like right now, is that his sentries have more energy. Everything else feels like it's pretty either even or a little bit better for Krystianer off of that damage. Probe count is obviously very close, but the tech is a little bit better for Krystianer. The robotics facility just now finishing up for Rodzyn. And of course, yeah, we've got that Twilight Council coming in. Rodzyn is going to take a quick third Nexus behind this. But with the new Sentry and with those Immortals, I don't know that you can hold this push. If he gets on top of the ramp, there might be a chance. Oh, if he gets on top of the War Prism, there's absolutely a chance.
Oh, he really wants to grab that, but almost risks the Prism a second time around. Okay, good movement right here by Rodzyn.
Oh my God.
Slowing down the advancement, and that Prism is too low. I don't think he can really commit.
Yeah, Krystianer is kind of playing crazy with it a little bit there. That was very, like...
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
That was 3 overextensions. As clean as game number 1 was, this is a set of mistakes, right? That really do speak volumes over how a player is currently feeling. Because even though in the end it's only a Prism, and that's, not something that is irrecoverable or whatever, like he's actually still getting a lot of damage done over here too, with this random group of Adepts. That is not a great look when you miss Micro, probably your most important unit. Oh, another very adventurous Immortal too. Not quite as clean as game number 1 here so far.
No, but that last little segment with the Adepts. So ultimately, he only lost the Prism. And while that sucks, killing 8 probes is very good. And Krystianer is going to be following through on this. Oh, he actually, wait a minute. He canceled Resonating Glaives. He was going to be going for a big Resonating Glaives play. Krystianer. Oh, does he get in? Oh my God, he does. No way.
Now we're just rubbing salt in the wound, man. That is so painful. We're 21 probes down here as Rodzyn. So he's actually, because of that third Nexus, still able to stay afloat. Because the worker count is not terrible. Blink is going to be the follow-up right here now for Krystianer. So rather than going for Glaives, we're going to go into a whole load of additional gateways. Maybe thinking about taking a Nexus too, though. Yeah, exactly. I figured that if he's going to go for an extended 2 basal in, it becomes a little bit uncomfortable. But I think he can take a third Nexus here and still be aggressive.
Oh, Observer in the middle will go down. Oh, will it? Oh my God, he lost track. Oh, because of the HP. Oh, but look at that force
over here on these Stalkers. Oh, a lot of damage. Oh,
that was 5, and he gets it anyways. 5 Stalkers go down. Even without Blink, is this holdable now? I don't. There's 5 Immortals on the field. How do you stop this?
Yeah. Well, Blink is finishing up in a couple seconds from now. Maybe it wasn't the original intention here to go for that Blink research, but it's still incredibly useful. Obviously, there's a Prism too for juggling if you really feel like that is what we do. And yep, there we go. I mean, the Immortals alone win this fight. And the Stalkers
pretty much
just are just here to just insult the rest of the units, I guess. Beautifully played. In the end by Krystianer, a clean 2-0